So here's a fragrance by a brand new niche brand called Sora Dora, and as soon as I saw the note breakdown, I thought I had a pretty good idea as to what fragrance this was going to smell like. Well, I was totally mistaken. This has one of the most unique note breakdowns I have seen in a while. This one, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing it, is called Grisk. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this brand new fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's video and I tell you all about Grisk by Sora Dora, a brand new niche brand based out of France, I do want to start things off by saying that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit that bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload these daily videos to YouTube. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if I gave you the opportunity to learn about a brand new fragrance today. So here we have a fragrance that is very much so on the bright, fresh, and also vegetal side of things. And it's interesting because when you think of aromatic ingredients, you think of clary sage for one, and there is a lot of clary sage in here, but there are some other vegetal slash herbal ingredients. There's actually a lot of basil in here and a lot of mint. I think it might be peppermint if I'm not mistaken. So when I thought about basil and mint, I thought to myself, okay, here's a fragrance that is going to smell like Green Lion by Hermetica. That is another fragrance with citrus and basil and mint, and I'm like, this fragrance is definitely going to be along those lines. Well, it really took a different turn on my skin, at least. It's a very unique fragrance. There's black currant, there's clove, there's bergamot, there's cedar wood, there's Haitian vetiver, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's vegetal, but at the same time, it's citrusy, it's woodsy. There's a certain tartness in here as well. So I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this brand new fragrance, but let's go ahead and start things off with the presentation. Now, right in the opening, you're gonna get that basil note that I alluded to earlier. And let me tell you something, this is the most natural smelling basil note that I've ever encountered in a fragrance. And of course, it's found in a few other fragrances. It's not the most common ingredient. When you think about herbal or aromatic or perhaps even culinary ingredients, you think of rosemary, you think of thyme, mint. All of those are found in tons of fragrances, but basil, here's a bit more of a peculiar ingredient, and it's done in a much more natural way in this fragrance than it is in Green Lion by Hermetica. As a matter of fact, the two don't even really compare. Here you have this very natural smelling basil, mint, and clove combination, and that in combination with the woods kind of makes you feel like you're standing in the middle of a garden. You know, and a lot of times you think of floral ingredients, you think of fragrances like Un Jardin sur le Nil by Hermès, one of my favorite ingredients. And of course, those kind of put you in the mindset of standing in an actual garden, but this one, wow, this one will really do it for you. Now, what I think is the most unique thing about this fragrance is, aside from the clove and the bergamot, that refreshing, juicy, sort of a citrusy opening with the black currant, that little tartness that it provides, you also have caramel. And it's this really quirky contrast where you're like, I don't think this is gonna work. The basil and the mint and the clove, and then all of a sudden you get caramel out of nowhere. But funny enough, there are some varieties of vetiver that are kind of like on the sweeter side of things, like that's how concentrated they are. Some are on the clean side of things, some are really dirty. The caramel surprisingly works really well in the base, and I was kind of taken aback by that because I would never expect that combination of ingredients to work as well as it does in this fragrance. Now, let me say something. This is probably the most unique offering that this brand has put out. When you think of fragrances like Gladiator, for example, Gladiator I think is amazing. Some people might compare it to Creed Aventus, kind of like an Aventus extrait almost. And then of course there's Camel Oud, That fragrance kind of reminds me of Oud for Greatness by Inicio, but done in a very different way, very different note breakdown as well. But here you have a fragrance that really can't be compared to anything. Very unique and vegetal. And you know, I always think of fragrances like Roses on Ice by Kilian Paris, with the rose and the cucumber, and it kind of takes it in this like culinary yet refreshing direction. That's what this fragrance does, but using totally different ingredients to achieve a similar effect, which I find to be really, really unique. Definitely one of the most unique fragrances that the brand has to offer. If you're interested in checking it out, I know they have a discovery set. I'm gonna leave links for it down below. They're not affiliate links. I'm not making any money from them. Just a way to make it more accessible for you if you are interested in sampling the line, because I think there's a lot of great fragrances that this brand has to offer. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, this is really, really unique. Now, of course, you have to be a fan of some of those bright herbal ingredients. You gotta like the smell of basil, you gotta like the smell of mint. Thankfully, there isn't a whole lot of clove in here, clove/eugenol, so it's not gonna smell like a dentist's office or anything like that, but you are going to get that caramel, woodsy, vetiver, earthy, kind of a basil aroma that I think is really, really unique. The longevity on this one was about 8 hours on my skin. Projection was great for the first hour of application. It radiated beyond an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent at hour 5, and it didn't fully die out until hour 7 or 8. In terms of the versatility, this one can be worn dressed up, dressed down. Because of the uniqueness, I would say it's probably more of a dressed up kind of a fragrance. Perfectly unisex. Anybody of any age can wear this one. However, I do think you have to have a little bit of experience with niche fragrances to fully appreciate the artistic components that went into this. And I think for some, it might be more of an acquired taste because, you know, you're not going to be a newbie and you start wearing Black Afghano by Nasomato, right? You have to acclimate yourself to some of the more experimental and avant-garde fragrances on the market. And I think this one, again, perfectly unisex. The presentation, you know my thoughts on it. I've already covered a few from the brand. So my final verdict is, if you are a fan of some of the more unique and, you know, kind of experimental fragrances on the market, if you like the smell of caramel, basil, mint, and woods, check out this fragrance. It has a lot of unique personalities about it, and this is one that I actually have been wearing since March. And so I'm gonna continue to wear this one in the months to come because I think it's perfect for this time of the year. I think there's not a bad time to wear this one all year long. Great versatility. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate your time and your viewership. If you enjoyed this video or if you learned anything from today's episode, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit that bell icon so you can be notified whenever I publish new videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.